When I heard that this had happened to her, and no, I'm getting off topic, but I couldn't imagine who would do it. I couldn't imagine who would hurt her because nobody disliked her.
It's been devastating. Nobody can get any sleep. Nobody can eat. We've all been trying to be brave for each other, and it's hard.
Honestly, just keeping it real. That you're not telling.
Sometime before she arrived, we believe a vehicle of interest entered that same.
So far, Dallas police have arrested 2 people in connection with the murder of Kendra Hatcher. But the person who may have planned it all is still on the loose.
In today's episode, we'll discuss the case of Kendra Hatcher, an incredibly smart, kind, and gorgeous young woman who met a horrific fate at such a young age, all because of love. Kendra Hatcher was born on February 3, 1980, in the city of Springfield, the capital of Illinois State. Having previously married at a young age, Kendra got her first divorce in 2010 and decided it was the perfect time to make a big change. She was getting out of the relationship and wanted a fresh start with new beginnings, so she decided to move to Dallas, Texas, where she began working at a dental office, Smile Zone. As someone who could fit in just about anywhere, it didn't take Kendra long to adjust to her new life. And before she knew it, she was already falling head over heels for a new guy in her life, a physician named Dr. Ricky Paniagua. Ricky had a jealous ex-girlfriend, Brenda Delgado, who couldn't believe Ricky moved on and began dating someone else. Now, before getting into Brenda's feelings about Ricky dating Kendra, it's important to know a bit more about Brenda. She actually came to the United States from Mexico in 1982, with her parents hoping to make a better life for themselves while living in Dallas, Texas. As a result of their struggle, Brenda knew she wanted more from life and was determined to get it. And those who knew Brenda expected her to get far, including her teachers who supported her vision of getting into the medical field. However, that dream was short-lived because Brenda's parents didn't want her to pursue the schooling required for a successful career. Brenda held a few small jobs here and there before attending a dental assistant program, which gave her enough credentials to begin working in a dental office. Of course, while working in a dental office, Brenda would meet Dr. Ricky, an extremely intelligent medical professional who was in residency at the time. Ricky was also going through a divorce at this point, so he befriended Brenda, and the two hit it off quite well. By November 2012, the duo got a place together in the Dallas area and were ecstatic about starting their lives together. At the beginning of 2013, Brenda took a pregnancy test, and it was positive. She talked to Ricky about the pregnancy, and they both decided it just wasn't a good time to have children, so Brenda went through with an abortion. Several months after her abortion, Brenda decided to enroll in the dental hygiene program at Sanford Brown College. But the abortion, schooling, and everything else must have been taking a toll on Brenda and Ricky's relationship because several months after she enrolled in the program, the two would call it quits. It appears Brenda didn't want the relationship to end. Instead, she wanted it to move forward and progress, where they'd eventually have children together. But Ricky wasn't so serious. After being broken up for a few months, the two would run into one another and hit it off again, returning to the relationship for a short period. However, the relationship was very short. By February 2015, the relationship was done for good, and Ricky was ready for a fresh start. Even though Ricky and Brenda had broken up, something creepy was happening. Ricky kept bumping into Brenda everywhere, grocery shopping, jogging, you name it. It spooked him a bit, but he tried not to think too much about it. Living in a small town, running into familiar faces was normal, right? Yet there was an uneasy feeling. Like there was something more to these encounters than just chance. Creepily enough, Brenda knows a lot about Ricky. She's got his passwords for email and social media, and she's even tracking his phone with GPS. The spooky part? It seems like Brenda might be keeping tabs on him, explaining why she keeps popping up wherever he goes. Something definitely feels off. In June 2015, Brenda eventually discovered that Ricky was seeing someone else. And he wasn't just seeing this person, he was in love with them. His new flame was none other than Kendra Hatcher, the beautiful dental assistant who'd recently moved to the area and begun working at Smile Zone. Ricky thought he was doing the right thing by letting Brenda know that he'd fallen in love and had a relationship with someone else. He would rather find out from the source than hear the news from someone else. Brenda was naturally upset by the news. She couldn't help but wonder who Kendra was and why he was so in love with her in the first place. Kendra was the kind of woman known for her bright, bubbly personality. When she was in high school, she was captain of the cheerleading squad. She had absolutely no trouble making friends with those around her, and in fact, she was known for her infectious smile that could quickly light up any room she walked into. Kendra graduated from the University of Kentucky's College of Dentistry and was known to dedicate her spring breaks each year to helping Habitat for Humanity. She believed in the importance of helping others, especially the underserved. When Kendra decided to move to Dallas for a fresh start, she also decided to dive into the dating scene by creating a profile on the popular dating app Tinder. It was there that she met Ricky, who was newly single after breaking up with Brenda only 3 months before. Brenda couldn't stand the idea of Ricky being with someone else. It infuriated her to know that all he did was talk about Kendra anymore. It seemed he was in love and serious with her, which is something Brenda always wanted out of that relationship. Those who spent time around Brenda noticed that she was seemingly obsessed with talking about Ricky and Kendra. It was so bad that a roommate who moved in with Brenda eventually decided to move out because they couldn't stand her constant obsession with Ricky and Kendra. It freaked them out enough to the point that they decided to get out of that shared apartment as quickly as possible. One time, Brenda asked her cousin to take a baseball bat and threaten Ricky, not to hurt him but to scare him. However, the cousin refused to get involved in that type of situation, so it never happened. Around this time, Brenda met another woman named Crystal Cortez, who happened to work in the dental industry. She quickly befriended Crystal and began spending a lot of time with her, even taking her out to eat. However, things would quickly become rather unusual when Brenda would ask Crystal if she'd be willing to handle some business for her for around $500. It appears Crystal was somewhat willing to go along with the ordeal, as she'd spend the next few nights with Brenda while following Ricky and Kendra around. They'd even worn night vision goggles to improve their ability to see what was going on outside. Around this same time, Crystal and Brenda also came across a man, Christopher Love, who lived next to Crystal's mom. Christopher sold substances in the neighborhood and had thoughts of starting a pimp business, but needed some money to get things going. Knowing that Christopher wanted to start such a business, she decided to give him an offer he couldn't quite refuse. She told him she'd pay him $3,000 to complete a specific mission, which involved causing harm to Kendra. In the meantime, Ricky and Kendra were entirely unaware of the plan that would soon unfold around them and were instead planning their future together. The two had plans to get married and move to California. Because Brenda was still accessing Ricky's personal information, including his emails, she found out about the upcoming nuptials and move, and she knew that she needed to do something about it before the two had the chance to move. On September the 2nd, 2015, Ricky and Kendra were planning for their upcoming trip to Cancun. Brenda decided it was time to finish things before they would have a chance to enjoy a relaxing vacation, so she focused on building an alibi for herself. She grabbed food with a friend, Jose, and asked him if she could use his car. He didn't mind and was willing to let her use the Jeep, which she had Crystal use with Christopher Love, in order to stalk Kendra. Upon arriving from work, Kendra got out of her car and began walking in the parking lot. She'd only been out of the vehicle for a few seconds before a man, Christopher, would come running up beside her. He quickly shot her in the head, grabbed her purse, and took off, driving away from the scene of the crime. So while this murder was occurring, where was Brenda? Having the time of her life at Chili's, dining and drinking with Jose. Now that the crime was committed, Crystal returned the car to Jose, thanking him for letting her use the Jeep. Sadly, Kendra didn't survive the gunshot wound to the head. Police arrived at the scene and began working quickly to determine who could possibly want to harm this hard-working young lady. So naturally, they decided to reach out to Ricky for an interview. Notably distraught, Ricky couldn't even fathom who would want to murder his beloved fiancée. Now, because the murderer grabbed Kendra's purse and took it with them, the police believed this could have been a botched robbery. However, it didn't take long for them to realize that something even more sinister was going on. Surveillance footage shows that a vehicle had entered the parking lot shortly before Kendra arrived home for work, parked in a parking spot, and essentially waited for her arrival. The police also captured great footage of the vehicle involved in the murder, a Jeep Cherokee.
Investigators are hoping the images of this older model Jeep Cherokee with damaged or faded paint on the hood with paper license plates may jog someone's memory. The rims are distinctive, and it's hard to tell whether the driver is a man or woman.
Anything more solid than just this picture of the Jeep right now?
At this point, no, but I can tell you I spoke with the medical examiner's office late this afternoon, and I am told that Dr. Hatcher did die of a single gunshot wound to the head and neck.
While watching the news one day, Jose noticed his vehicle was plastered on the screen. He couldn't believe it and decided to go to the police immediately to avoid getting into any trouble because he knew he had nothing to do with this crime. So he goes to the police and lets them know that Brenda and Crystal borrowed his Jeep Cherokee. Because he went to the police and provided these names, detectives decided to bring both women in for questioning to find out more about what they knew and what their involvement might have been. During the investigation, Brenda acted cool, calm, and collected. She acted clueless about Kendra and claimed she didn't know what was happening. She said she had no idea who Kendra was, and she was never friends with her on social media. Brenda made sure not to incriminate herself, but was still booked in the holding cell due to an unpaid parking ticket. She quickly paid the fine and headed back home.
I was killed on Wednesday, and I'm the guy that's assigned to the case. Your name came up in the investigation, so I wanted to sit down and talk with you and kind of figure out what's going on and get your version of the events. One of the things that I do as a detective, I know you've never been here before. At least I don't think you have.
No.
Okay. So you're probably a little nervous. You don't have to worry about, I'm not going to be yelling and doing slapping my hand on the table and that kind of stuff. That's not my style. The way that I work, I like to believe what people are telling me. I know sometimes when you're nervous, things may slip your mind, or you may get a little hurried and say things a little different. It's cool. Okay, I can understand those things because this is an intense situation for a lot of people.
I second. I like that.
Yeah.
I'm part of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know,
Detective, what did Bennett just say to you right there?
She recognized that I was wearing an I am second bracelet. And she said that she reached out to me and let me know that she liked that and that she has one. It caught me off guard. Normally, when we begin an interview, people that are coming to a homicide interrogation room, being questioned about a homicide, normally they are a little more closed. She was actually open to the conversation, and it seemed like she was trying to build rapport with me as well. That's what I took that as, like she was trying to relate with me as soon as she came in. That's normally my job, but she beat me to the punch.
A young lady was killed. Kendra Hatcher was killed on Wednesday, September 2nd. Okay. She was dating, I think, a guy that you used to date. The way that your name came up in the investigation was linked to the vehicle. Okay, the Jeep, black Jeep. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit specifically about Wednesday, what you were doing Wednesday, and, you know, the incident involving the Jeep. Okay. When did you learn about Kendra?
I have no idea. I kind of see feed, but I really don't know what's going on. Like, I have no idea. But I'm saying, like, let me know how I can help, or how can I be a source, or.
Oh, no, I'm saying, what did you say? I'm sorry. All you see is feet?
Like on the, like, say, like, they're sharing, like, someone was, like, a feed on Kendra, and that's all I know.
Oh, a feed?
Feed on Facebook.
Okay.
And that's all I know, but I have.
That's how you found out it was from Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
Facebook, definitely Facebook. And then,
were you and her friends on Facebook?
No, I don't know who the girl is. Like, I have no idea.
Once I started asking questions that she was having a difficulty answering, I noticed she kept leaning forward, almost as pushing her breast up. And I don't know if it was some form of distraction, but she was posturing, I felt, to kind of get me off guard or distract the interrogation.
Did you know who she was?
No, I did not.
Okay. So you didn't know that she was?
I have no idea. No, I don't know who the girl is.
This is what I'm saying. Okay. Crystal borrows the Jeep. She borrows the Jeep from your friend.
Yes.
The key thing in all this is you, okay? And I'm gonna tell you why. The Jeep, the way Crystal gets the Jeep is through you.
Yeah.
Okay. The young lady that ends up dead, her boyfriend, the relation is you. You to him to her. Crystal ends up in this parking garage. Your friend's Jeep, your ex-boyfriend's girlfriend. All three of those things point back to you. That is you. You're the common theme in all of these things. So what I'm asking you is, how does this happen? And that would make me very uncomfortable if my friend was in this area. My friend is borrowing my other friend's Jeep, and my ex-boyfriend's girlfriend gets killed. One of the things that I looked at on the internet the other day, I like to read the comments on the stories to see what people are saying. I looked at comments. You know what people are saying about this? Love triangle. I'm not as interested. I'm going to find out what happened to this young lady. I owe that to her family. I owe that to her mom. Just like I would do the same thing if something happened to you.
Yeah.
You know, one of the hardest things about doing this is having to deal with grieving families. You know, there's nothing that really you can kind of compare that to, but it makes something inside of you. It gives you determination that you're not going to stop until you find out the truth. And so my advice to you is to be honest, okay?
Yes.
Because your honesty is only going to benefit you, because I'm going to find out the truth one way or another, okay? Now, I know that you have communicated with Crystal. I know exactly what this is about, and I understand what it's like to feel like maybe you're not good enough sometimes. I understand what it's like to want something that you can't have. I also know what it feels like to want something so bad that you're willing to do anything for it. Sometimes people do that for money, sometimes people do that for attention, and sometimes people do that for love. Okay? And I understand those things. I understand how you felt or how you feel. I can't understand why somebody would kill someone else. I've never killed anybody. But I have had my heart broken. And I know what it feels like. There's not a person in this world that hasn't gone through that kind of pain. Now, I can't tell you what was going through your head. I have a good idea, but I can't be a translator for your pain. All of this is revolving around you. This whole thing. And it's all over something that you couldn't have.
While Brenda wouldn't say much, Crystal sang like a bird, providing all the details of the crime to the investigators. She incriminated herself, Brenda, and Christopher. The police then went to Christopher's residence, conducted a search warrant, and found the weapon used to murder Kendra. Christopher was arrested, and now it was time for them to bring Brenda back in because they knew they had her. While attempting to locate Brenda for questioning, local authorities faced difficulties in finding her, She appeared to have vanished without a trace. The FBI escalated the situation by placing Brenda Delgado on its fugitive list, enticing individuals with a substantial $100,000 reward for information leading to her apprehension. Meanwhile, Brenda's family insisted they were not concealing her, expressing skepticism about her involvement in the murder of Dr. Kendra Hatcher. Recall that Kendra originally resided in Mexico, her country of birth, before relocating to Dallas, Texas, at a young age alongside her family, granting her dual citizenship. Suspecting she might have fled to Mexico to avoid arrest, authorities initiated a search and successfully located her 6 months later. She was then brought back to the United States to confront the repercussions of her deeds. Due to Brenda having a reasonably strong alibi, as she was at Chili's with Jose when the crime occurred, the prosecution opted to negotiate a deal with Crystal Cortez. In exchange for detailed information about the crime and Brenda's orchestration of the plan, Crystal agreed to a plea deal that would result in a 35-year sentence with the possibility of parole after 15 years. She complied with the agreement by providing comprehensive insights into the crime and Brenda's involvement. Crystal disclosed various plans, such as potentially administering a lethal injection to Kendra with a needle, shooting her directly, or even orchestrating a kidnapping. She emphasized Brenda's unequivocal desire for Kendra's demise. Following this heinous crime, Christopher Love was convicted and received a death sentence for his involvement in Kendra's death. Subsequently, Brenda faced trial in June 2019 and was declared guilty of murder for hire. Her punishment was a life sentence in prison with no chance of parole. Paradoxically, Brenda orchestrated Kendra's execution to ensure that Ricky wouldn't be with anyone other than herself. However, she now finds herself spending the remainder of her life behind bars without him.